Hey there, welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is about Rook Reflections episode number 3 with adult improver Phil, who went from 1100 to 1500 in a short period of time. I questioned him about what helped him the most in his improvement, and I was also curious about his experience in the chess world. He is the captain of his team too, and I had a couple of questions regarding that too. This Rook Reflections episode will happen on my Twitch channel, where you can come and join us live and ask your questions right there from me or from my guests. So far I had 3 episodes, the first one with Woman FIDE Master Alessia Santaramo, the second one with Grandmaster Hovhannes Kabusyan, and the third one with Woman International Master Jessie February. If you are interested in those two, I posted all the links under the video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and I would be also happy to hear about your experience in the comment section. Enjoy the video. Today is our Rook Reflection episode number 4, I think. Yes, it is. And well, Phil is an adult improver, but he's also a team captain. He has you are a team captain, right, in your team. So I also have some questions regarding that. Yes.
Yes, yeah. I'm a captain of team in my club, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Is he improving as an adult or an adult improving at chess? Which one are you?
Hopefully both. Hopefully both.
Yes.
I probably have to ask other people about my adult improving though, so.
Yeah, you are not the right one who can talk about this, right? It's only the other people around you.
And there's no rating system, so who knows?
What rating would you give to yourself?
No comment.
Okay. All right, so let's get to the serious questions. Well, my first question is always about introduction a little bit. How did you start playing chess?
So I played at school, and with my dad played a little bit, and I played at school. I was on the school team once as a substitute. The only thing I can remember from the match is that I was the only person that won a point. Oh, didn't lose, let's put it that way, because it was a draw, stalemated. And then after that match, I stopped. I don't really know why, no real reason. And then played a little bit over the next, 30 years. And then obviously COVID hit and the Queen's Gambit hit Netflix. I do like to say that I didn't start playing again because of the Queen's Gambit. I did have a 3-month break between watching it and picking it up, so that it's not. I'm not a sheep. So COVID hit and everybody was working from home, and I was also working from home, obviously. And I thought about playing. I have a friend that got into playing a little bit, so I played with him a couple of times, and then one day I was at work and I was browsing Twitch for some background noise, stumbled across a streamer called Andy Star who was solving puzzles, and she chess is a funny thing, right? Because everybody thinks they're either terrible or good at it, and I thought I was okay at chess, and I joined the stream, and she was doing very simple puzzles, and it's sort of how did she know what the right move was in this puzzle? I can even relate to. And I saw the puzzle and the tactics side of chess, and sort of there, and obviously got involved with her stream a bit and the community, and like many people, got completely addicted to chess. Was probably playing about 100 blitz games a day, solving 100 puzzles or attempting to solve 100 puzzles a day, and that was 3 years ago, and now here we are. So that's how I started playing.
Actually, it reminds me a little bit of my family. My parents also thought they played good chess until they got into the word a little bit more, and then they saw other people seriously studying and playing in competitions,
Yeah.
and then they rethought the whole thing. mm.
When I create my account on chess.com, it asks you what level you are, and beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And I was like, well, I've played a few games. I'll I'll pick intermediate, and it set my rating as 12, and then it was probably 2.5 years above 1200. I went down to like 700, 800, and then back up. So it's also a pretty humiliating game sometimes. Humbling game.
Wow. Wow. Yes, those happen to everyone. And what is your main chess goal?
Uh, my main goal, I guess, is to keep enjoying it. I set a goal at the beginning of this year to hit a rapid rating online of 1400, which I'd actually done by March. So then I was like, oh, what do I do now? But my goals mainly are to do with over the board, really. I joined a club a year or so ago, well, 18 months ago now, and my main goal, really, I suppose, is to be a regular in the team. Um, I think I'm probably not good, never going to be good enough to play in the first team, but I'd like to play in the second team as a regular rather than as a stand-in or whatever. So that's probably my main goal for chess. In terms of online play, just have fun, and uh, I'd love to hit. I'd love to get to 2000 rapid rating on chess.com. How feasible that is, I don't know, but um, I actually take over the board chess way more seriously than online chess anyway. So it matters more to me. So I say that
Under-
was my main goal.
yeah, understandable. Understandable. Um, yes, and I know that you had around 1100, right? If I remember well, a few months
At the
ago.
start of the year, yeah.
Yes, and now
Yeah.
you hit 1500 some time ago, right?
Yeah, my peak is 1591, which was about 3 months ago. And then from there I went back down to 1300 something. And now I'm just over 1500. It does vary a lot. Probably play too many games still. But
Mm-hmm. Yes. What do you think? What helped you the most in your improvement? Now, when I ask this, I mostly think about your psychological skills rather than this Sefru channel on Twitch.
okay. But this is where you want me to advertise your lessons, right? Obviously.
Yes, also that, right?
Yeah, sure. So a year ago it started, well, almost a year ago, started having lessons with you, which I'm sure has helped. But I think the big thing is not playing. It seems a silly thing to say, but not playing too much and not playing too fast. So I've more or less stopped playing blitz and bullet altogether and only play rapid. Sometimes I'm guilty of playing rapid like it's blitz, but I do try and play slower. Um, I think that's probably the biggest difference, or the most obvious difference that you can point to. Because although I read books and I watch content and I obviously have my lessons with you, I feel like the main thing is to slow down and to think things through. And I think you sort of absorb things. And now like I look back at some old games I played and I have no idea why I made those moves and why. But I'm not consciously thinking, "Oh, this move is bad necessarily. This move is bad. This move is good." You just sort of you absorb, I guess, what is good play and what isn't, and I guess improving at chess is refining that so that it's better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So playing less and playing slower,
Mm-hmm.
probably the biggest things.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's actually funny uh, how many times I see players playing way too fast and not um, allowing themselves to put their full potential in the game. Because if you play faster, then of course you can think, well, I mean, you can maybe, but most of the time you think your thinking process will be better when you slow down a little bit. And it's funny
Yeah.
how much it helps when you really think in your games. Yeah, so that's a good one. Now I will ask the opposite of this question. Actually, yeah, I just wrote that down, but maybe okay, I won't ask it. I was just thinking you. It's up to you if you would like to answer it or keep it as a secret. I forgot that I removed it from the questions. If you think there is something that is holding you back, again, as a psychological thing, attribute, or more like behavior, like spending too much on Twitch streams. Just kidding. But like what do you think?
I think
Yeah.
I think the I don't have a lot of patience, so I really like playing chess. I'm not a huge fan of studying it because it's sometimes takes a long time and can be boring, and it um, doesn't translate straight away to improvement necessarily. So no, being paid to do too much at once, I think, is it's quite hard. I find it quite hard to sit down and do nothing, especially online. It's different over the board, but with online chess, to sit down and do nothing but for a game of chess for 20 minutes, it's actually really, really hard. There's so many other distractions and so many other shiny things to look at. Um, it's yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And I don't because um, I don't have dreams of being a title player or anything like that. I don't have the same drive, I guess, as some people would want. So chess is the only thing for me. Therefore, I'm not just not going to spend hours and hours and hours a day learning openings or um, doing stuff that isn't obviously rated. Like puzzles are great because it takes 5 seconds and you can see your rating go up and down. You can see immediate feedback, but you don't get that with studying. So apologies, as you are my coach, but studying is probably the hardest thing, the thing that holds me back.
But that's surprising because you're one of my few students who actually does their homework.
Well, I tell you I do the homework. You never actually ask for evidence, but I do do it. I do do it. Honest. I do.
I trust you. I trust you. But noted, I will ask a few questions from the material I gave as a homework.
Okay. I still need to finish that game from last week, so
All right.
I'll get there.
Okay. 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 So, well, you have mentioned it before, but what is the most surprising about the chess world? You mentioned you came back, you stumbled upon on this stream, and I'm curious if you had any surprising moments, like something that was surprising to you that you haven't have thought of before, like it's like this in the chess world.
I think the most surprising thing I think has not necessarily been online, but in playing over the board and with the size of the players and the there are tournaments all the time, and you can play competitively all the time. Um, I think that's. I remember when I joined my club, I was surprised how many people were there. I thought it would be like 4 or 5 old men, uh, but it was 10 old men, 11 including me, some kids, a couple of girls. I think that was surprising, but um, overall, I think chess is until you're in the chess world. If someone was to say to you, chess is a beautiful game, and look at this beautiful position, and look at this beautiful move, it's it. You would just think you're just weird, but it's it's yeah, it's so much more than just a game, right? it's it's hard to describe, but I think the beauty of chess and the depth. It's so simple. It's such a simple game. There's 8 pieces. They only move one way, really. Uh, but actually, the depth is so good. And for such a simple game, the bad surprising thing is for such a simple game, the amount of rules in tournaments and the amount of etiquette and things you can and can't do that people don't really tell you about until you're in it was also surprising. The first tournament I played, the arbiter was talking for 10 minutes before the game started. Like, just going over various rules, various things you should and shouldn't do. So,
Is there a rule that surprised you?
yeah, actually, yeah. So when you promote a pawn, so when I was at school or playing at home, obviously you didn't have spare queens. So if your queen was already on the board and you promoted, we would just turn a rook upside down. And it turns out that's illegal. So
Yes.
I was very very surprised about that because I was like, well, what are you supposed to do if you've not got another queen? So
Yes. Right, right. And actually, that counts as an illegal move, if I'm right. If you put a rook upside down, I think that's an illegal move.
I
Mm.
think I think actually because Andy is also an arbiter, she sometimes streams about
All
rules.
right.
I think she said, if I remember correctly, that if it's not illegal to turn the rook upside down. It only becomes illegal when you try and move the rook as the queen, which
Ah.
is
Huh?
is very strange.
Yes, actually, that is strange. I also have an arbiter degree, but I have done it like 7 years ago, so I don't remember much.
Uh,
Plus, the rules have changed a lot over the years. But I remember, yeah, I wasn't sure if you have to use it as a rook or if the whole thing is illegal. Yeah, but then okay, we know it. Moving it will be illegal, but you can turn it upside back
yeah,
and then use it as a rook. Yes. Yes, I think the custom is that you need to stop the clock, I think, and ask for a queen from from the arbiter if there is no queen nearby. You can't just take your mate's queen, like, hey, could I borrow that? And then put it on your board. So hey Andy.
the other, the other thing that's surprising, although probably more online than offline, is all the different variations and different ways of playing. They're quite, it's not just chess. There's millions of variations. They're all very, fun and stuff. That was surprising.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Yeah, there are a few surprising rules. Also, one is maybe I see often people get surprised by the rule that once you touch a piece, the touch rule. If you touch a piece, you have to play with that. Sometimes I see people getting surprised by that.
Yeah, I actually we played a lot at school, so I knew that rule beforehand, but I didn't think it was a real rule. So when I played at the first tournament and they said it's touch move and touch take, oh right, it's actually a real thing. Interesting.
Right. Okay. And once you are in your game, well, I th- I think titled players learn, or well, they are forced to learn to focus and shut out their thoughts when they are in a game, because they have a lot of practice. They go from tournament to tournament. But I'm curious how it is for you. How hard is it when you play a game, a classical game, not a blitz game? Because in a blitz game, okay, you can't really zone out that much. But in a classical game, when your opponent is thinking for 30 minutes and you are just there, or when it's your turn, how easy it is for you to keep your focus?
Um, I don't feel like I struggle with that at all. To be honest, one of the things I really like about over the board, tournament players, particularly because it's obviously different on club nights and things as well. But playing in a tournament, you've not really got any choice but to focus. You know, you have to turn your phones off. You have to effectively you. There's nothing else to do except focus on the game. So I think, and that's one of the things I really like about it is that you all that distraction and all the you can't worry about work or and all that sort of thing. It's forced to take away from you, so there's nothing else to do but think about chess. So it also feels like a nice break sometimes. So, that being said, I've never really played a really long game. Played a lot of classical chess, but they tend to not. They tend to not last for hours and hours and hours. I think the longest game I played was 2.5 hours. Um, so it's. I think if I was, 7 hour game, I don't know. I don't know how I would handle that. But 2.5 hours, 3 hours, yeah, fine, no problem.
Wow. Okay, that's good. Uh, yes. Well, it's a little bit different compared to 6 hours. Compared to a 6 hours long game. But I think yes, maybe because um, yeah, because it's a 2 hours, 2 hours and a half long game. Then, and you said this was the longest, so this is not the average, right?
No, average is probably maybe 90 minutes, 2 hours on average. Because opponents don't use the clock well either. So I had a match on um, Tuesday just gone, an unofficial match, and my opponent um, was just practicing using the clock and writing moves because he's going to play my team. And we played. It was a 80 minutes plus 15-second increment, and he lost. And he still had 75 minutes on his clock. So they're short games, but not just because of me. um, I've never actually gotten into time control. Time trouble. I've never had to play on increment myself. So I guess it's a bit of a different situation. But on average, probably 90 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
2 hours.
Okay. Okay. What?
I tend to if I lose, I tend to lose really fast. So I was playing in a tournament last February in Blackpool, which is horrible, horrible place. And the last game, it was a 5 round tournament over the weekend, and the last game was Sunday afternoon. I lost in about 15 minutes. Just totally missed a mate, and was so frustrated. But then my train was like 4 hours later, so it also could be a problem losing. I sat in a hotel reception moaning to myself about losing a terrible game, and then to wait for 4 hours for my train. So that's fine.
I remember those times when I lost very fast. My coach would tell me, "I don't mind if you lose, but if you lose so fast, that's very bad. You should get yourself together." And they would start screaming. It's funny how different it is. Uh, okay, and well, since we are talking about these skills, how easy it is, or how not easy it is, I have a second question. Um,
Okay.
how easy it is for you to stay motivated when chess is just not going the way you thought it would be?
Uh, I don't really struggle with that. I find it frustrating, but doesn't really make me want to stop playing because I also play to relax and I don't play over the board often enough to have a long bad patch over the board. But online, if I lose 10 games in a day, which has happened fairly recently, um, I don't feel unmotivated because I also just play to relax and because I don't take my online rating. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter too much. It's not life and death for me. So I would. What I did last time actually, when I lost 10 days in a row, 10 games in a row, I was like, okay, I need to just stop, and I didn't play for like 3 or 4 days, and then I played again and I think won the next 7 games or something. So um, I think like a lot of people playing online chess, it becomes I've got nothing to do. I'll have a quick game of chess, and that's always been the case for me, even after a long run of losing games. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. It does. Yes, that's good to keep in mind. Sometimes we don't play this game for a living, right? We play this for fun, and it's so
Yeah.
easy to forget that because I read this tweet not long ago. I think it was actually made by Avatik, the founder of Chess Mood. He said it's funny how, or not so funny, that players connect their ego to their chess performance. So
Hmm.
if they are winning, then they feel good about themselves. But when they are losing, they don't feel good about themselves, and they hide their
Yeah.
problems. Show in chess too.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you also suffer a lot from recency bias, I think. So that tournament in Blackpool, I it was 5 games. The first game was I ended up losing, but it was the first time I've ever played classical match, a classical game as well. Uh, so I lost the first game, and then 2 games on a Saturday, I won both uh, very well, in my opinion. They were both very good games, and then I won the game. I actually was on 3 out of 5, which for my first tournament, I think was actually pretty good. But because of the way I lost the last game, uh, let's just say I reacted poorly and visited the local off license and had a little bit too much to drink on the train on the way back because I was so, objectively, 3 out of 5 was really good for my first tournament. But the last game was so bad, I just was in a foul mood and um, I don't know, reacted poorly. Let's leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. But you said it doesn't affect you much because you try to relax this way. Is it something you learned after this, or did you do
I
something?
think online,
Yes.
it's a difference between online and over the board, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So online doesn't affect me too much, but over the board can do, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think the next day I woke up and I was like, that's absolutely ridiculous reaction. You're a child. Um, and so maybe I probably learned a bit from that, and I don't think it does still affect me. Does if I lose because I was outplayed, then fine. It's because I made a terrible mistake. I feel if there's sometimes you feel like you've just lost to yourself rather than lost to you're playing somebody else, but you're also in a lot of ways playing yourself. I think like that game I just lost because I was not paying attention, and um, it felt like it ruined the weekend for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think I learned from that, and I've lost similar games since then, and not reacted so poorly. I had so my team we won our summer league in Manchester, but the last game I I lost my match. I lost my game in like 13 moves or something because I took a poison pawn, and I knew it was I just played too fast, I guess, and lost that game in a terrible way as the captain. Uh, and I was frustrated and annoyed, and I felt like I'd let my team down, but I didn't go and get hammered or uh, go straight to bed and cry myself to sleep like I did in Blackpool.
I
It
see.
gets under your skin, doesn't it, Fruji? Gets under your skin. Yes.
Sorry?
It gets under your skin. Gets. It's a game, but for some reason it also means a lot.
Right. I can relate to that. Yes. Yes, I also cry myself to sleep after bad losses. Yes. I can relate to that. It's yeah, interesting how
Yeah.
we connect this game to our ego, or yes, our ego. Yes. If we care
Yeah.
about it, yes. Constantino says, I think we all do. In a way, yes. I suppose if you I mean we are quite conscious about this game. Like if we want to improve, that's why we learn. That's why we go to tournaments. That's why we take lessons to improve. And of course, it hurts when we thought, I improved so much, and then yet our performance doesn't show that we did. But we know we did, but the performance doesn't show it. And yes, it's better to it can be tough sometimes, or you think about yourself like how much I improved, or you even think, I am a good player now, and then you just lose badly, and then it gets crushed, and it hurts. It
It
hurts.
does. It does.
Yes. An OTP game is quite a big time investment too, especially with travel, so it's bound to have more effect too than a quick online game. Yes, of course, if I
Yeah.
lose badly online, it doesn't affect me that much. But yes, when let's say I'm in a winning position for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then in the last moment I blunder something in a stupid way, yes, that hurts.
With 30 minutes on your clock, and
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, indeed, indeed. This is something. It's hard to give an advice on this, because I saw someone giving an advice, saying, do you think it really worth the effort to go to these tournaments? But okay, why is that the answer? Like, if it's really bothering me, why do I have to quit playing on tournaments rather than just managing these feelings? um what helped me, actually, I think one of the things that helped me was when I saw this video about super grandmasters, even the world champions, doing very stupid blunders. Like, they blundered a piece in one or two. And that made me feel better about myself.
Yeah, true.
Yes, seeing
Yeah,
seeing high rated people do stupid mistakes is weirdly encouraging.
it is. Yeah, it is. Definitely is. Gives
Yeah.
you hope, I think.
Yes. Yes. Indeed. So you say you go to over the board tournaments. Sometimes you don't only play online. But I still have this question. It's one of my favorite questions. Do you have any rituals before your games, online or over the board games? Like I don't know, listening to a song or calling your family, or something that hypes you up or you think it will help? Do you have, or just eating a chocolate, even anything? Do you have anything like this?
I hate to give a boring answer to your favorite question, but no, I don't really know.
Okay.
Um, I do try, and I do always try and get to the board like 5 minutes before the game starts, and um, I like to have my knights facing forward and my bishops facing forward. Um, but other than that, no, not really.
Okay.
I used to play a bit of golf, and I would always have to wear the same pair of socks. But it didn't. It never helped my game. So I guess that's. I guess I don't really buy into it necessarily. But I do like to have my pieces lined up in a certain way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy it didn't. It would be really bad having someone with 3 days old socks in the tournament hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm glad that didn't turn out well. Do you have a favorite pair of socks? Dan is asking.
No, because I have three children, and when you have children who have the same size feet as you, it just becomes one pool of socks that people share from. So no, I don't have a favorite pair of socks.
I could imagine a family drama. Hey, you took my favorite pair of socks. Give it
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Sometimes.
sometimes. um, Another psychological question. Um, Vam, do you have any? Was there any time when you used a psychological trick on your opponent that you used consciously on your opponent?
Yes, only once though that I can think of. Actually, in so when you were streaming yesterday, and I mentioned in chat that I've had the position again, it was in that position. So I knew that he had to bring his king forward instead of pushing his pawn, and I sort of took far too long on my move to make it look like I was really thinking it through, even though I decided what my move was going to be, and I had a lot of time on the pot left. So I moved piece and then sort of faked that it was a bad move um, to try and get him to move his pawn, which worked, and it ended up being a draw. So yeah, to my shame, and he was probably only a 10-year-old kid, but I didn't want to lose. It was a bad tournament. I didn't want to lose to him. So
I
uh,
mean, it works. It's not against the rules.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That's the game I mentioned where I lost in 30 moves because I took a poison pawn. My opponent did the same thing to me.
Mm.
He he had a knight on g5, I think, and he moved it, but he was hanging, and he moved another piece, and then was like, "Oh no!" This like it. He hadn't realised his knight was hanging, so I took it, and then I looked up at him, and he was smiling at me, and he moved his queen in, and it was like mate in three or something,
Ooh.
um, which was very frustrating.
Just out of curiosity, how did you fake your sadness or your emotions? What did you do?
I think I probably just gasped or something. I can't remember. It was a while ago. I mean, it was a piece, and then probably just went like that or something. I'm not a good actor, and it was a long time ago. Well, 6 months ago. It was a long time for me.
It's so funny, these dirty tricks. I mean, Hikaru does them. You can see his face
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
videos, but it's not so usual on tournaments where I play. I don't know why. Mm, yeah, especially these very expressed emotions like or kind of emotions or acting is it's not so usual, because I think there we already know, come on, you are better than that.
yeah,
Don't act.
yeah.
um
I like to think that I wouldn't fall for it again, but I probably will.
yes, well, right, well, to be honest, it's I always try to um, how my students are, well, not always maybe, but when it comes up, this topic comes up, I try to tell them, don't believe your opponent, whatever they do, because they can be acting. Of course, it's easier said than done sometimes, but especially when it comes to sad emotions, I think that's when you shouldn't believe them, because with happy emotions, I think you can kind of believe them. So, for example, when you see your opponent is overly confident, I played against this kid who was overly confident, and it was not last year or before that. I don't remember, anyways, but it was the European Blitz Rapid and Blitz Championship in Poland, I think, and I blundered my knight in the opening, and the kid suddenly became so overly confident, and I could see he wasn't acting. I mean, normally, why would you act when you are too happy, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But about sadness, I think when your opponent expresses sadness, you have to be careful. I had another person, and by the way, I think I even won the game because he blundered something back because he was too overly confident, and just because I saw his confidence, I said, okay, let's keep playing. I don't care. I am a piece down. Let's keep playing.
And
And
then when you won, you were like, in your face.
well, funny thing is, when he blundered, he was also very expressive. He expressed it like, oh, like something like this. But okay, he's a kid. Kids, I think you can believe maybe more,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't recommend believing kids all the time in this topic. Yeah, and I had another person. This is also interesting. It happened maybe 2 years ago. I'm not sure. I went to this team match, and I played against another girl who I haven't seen in tournaments for a long time, but I remember seeing her as a child, and she was considered very good. Um, she had 1800 FIDE rating, and just for the ones who don't know it, I right now I have 2000. Back then I had 2100, but then things happened. That's another topic. But then this girl comes to the match, and she recognized me too, because we saw each other on tournaments, on youth championships, and she was like, you got so strong. I'm just a noob. I haven't played chess for such a long time. For sure you will beat me. And then there was this awkward laugh that she gave, and I was like, well, I would have believed her if I'm not experienced on the topic, but I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because when people say this, they they don't go there to lose. They don't really think it. They say it, but it's also a psychological weapon they use. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't believe I am good, so you shouldn't believe it either. And then,
Yeah.
you know what the girl did? She went on a crazy rage attack against me. Like, she almost didn't develop anything. Okay, she did, but
Really?
she didn't castle, and she went with h4. I was black. She went with h4, g4, h5, g5, trying to checkmate me fast. If someone really thinks they are not that good, they won't go on a rage attack like this. So that's why I'm very skeptical when they say something like this, or when they act too much,
Yeah.
because it can be acting, yes.
And chess
Um,
is a weird thing as well, isn't it? Because everybody thinks they're rubbish. Even Magnus Carlsen talks all the time about how bad he is at chess. And I think it's a strange thing.
yes, right. Who won? In my match, I won. By the way, yes, I won. It was a very immature attack what she was doing, and she made weaknesses on the other side of the board, so I could actually beat her. But yeah, it was funny. All the I don't know how to play chess anymore. It's been such a long time, and then they throw the garbage bin at you on the board. So yeah, it was just funny. Well, she wasn't very good after all. Well, she was 1800 FIDE. That's quite good, I would say.
It's decent, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, my next question would have been if they used any psychological tricks on you and how you reacted, but you covered that already, so I won't repeat that unless you have something to add to that.
No, I think what annoyed me more than anything about that was not that I took the piece; it was that I took the piece with still an hour and 10 minutes on my clock. I didn't stop and think, which I think is the takeaway. Is to you can believe, I think believing they've made a mistake is fine. Believing your opponent is okay, so long as you're still checking, still making sure that still playing your own game, sort of thing. Because it could have been a genuine mistake, uh, but if either way, if I'd have spent more than 5 seconds thinking about the move, I would have seen that it opens his H file for his rook, and then his queen can come in, and you know, on reflection was a pretty obvious trick. He was already down a piece,
Mm-hmm.
so he'd already lost a piece, and then he made it look like he'd lost another one. And like I say, the main lesson I learned, or I've tried to learn from it, is to always double and triple check, especially when you've got a lot of time on the clock.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right. Plus, chess is not poker, right? You can rely on what is happening on the board rather than how your
Yeah,
opponents react. Because in poker, maybe you have to react on your opponent and read their body language better. But in chess, you don't have to be very good at body
he's
language.
already on the board.
Yeah, it's enough to know what's going on and test it there. Yes. Does it affect you when you play a lower rated or a higher rated? How you play against them?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I have a terrible habit of um, thinking, "Oh, this will be an easy win," or "Oh no, I'm going to lose" before the game's even started, purely based on rating. Um, I don't know if it affects the way I play, but I'm sure that mentality, the feeling of already lost, is probably does affect the way I'm playing. The big problem I have is because I'm still lower rated, still playing in like the under 1400 sections, where there's a lot of unrated players, um, which can either be really good or really bad. So if I see someone who's unrated, I often feel like, well, I'm just going to lose that as well. the first rapid tournament I played, I actually won. But there was two sections, and we I ended up having to play someone from the upper section, but he was unrated, and he crushed me. Crushed me. He crushed everybody. Actually, he won 6 games out of 6. But because he was unrated, I was like, well, I'm just going to lose because it's just it definitely affects. I definitely think about it before the game whether or not the higher rate than I am. Which I no doubt will affect my play. But I find it harder dealing with someone who is unrated, because you've just got no idea of what to expect, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Some people never play, they've played for years but never played competitive. So they join a tournament and are unrated, and they just crush everybody in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Is it annoying that just players have ratings? It's you can't see any kind of rating system in any other sport, right? Although I'm not the best person to talk about this because I don't watch other sports. But is it annoying? Would you? Do you hear me?
Playing against Is it annoying playing against unrated players?
I mean that in chess we have rating system. Is it annoying?
I think it's good and bad. I think it's good because there's always room for improvement, and it's an easy way to see progress or otherwise. But also, I think that's why it affects your ego so much, because you start chasing numbers, right? Rather than, I started this year off with a goal to reach 1400, but it's just an arbitrary number, really. It doesn't doesn't alter my value as a human being or in any way or anything like that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a number to differentiate you from the next person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's bad in that way, but it's also good because it means that, like, if I go play in a tournament and I'm playing people who are similar rated, then I feel like I've got a chance. I'm playing next week. I'm playing in Germany, and it's just one open section. There's 150 players. I'm going feeling like I'll have no chance of winning it, which is not ideal. I'd like to at least feel like I got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But without the rating system, you would never have that. So
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think
Right.
it's good and bad.
Yes. Um. Right. Sometimes I wonder if it's really good to have rating system. I curse it sometimes because it affects me too when I play against lower rated. Especially, I used to think it doesn't affect me that much, but if I really want to be honest with myself, it does. It does because and I realized that more in my recent tournaments where 1600 rated players crushed me, which shouldn't happen. Not that they can't win against me, but more like they can't crush me. Like
Yeah,
that should be very rare. And I had a couple of kids who did that, and yeah, that just wasn't nice.
yeah. I don't know how well it works or how reliable the number is, but I think it's you see some players who are 1600s who are playing like a 2000, don't you, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I've played games where I've come away with like 97% accuracy. Um, if that was, somebody might accuse you of cheating coming out as a 1200 player with a 97% accuracy game. But sometimes your opponent helps you makes the game easy for you, and I don't know, your mind's in the right place or whatever it is. So I don't know what the alternative would be to ratings, um,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think we probably do place too much emphasis on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Um, and just an easier question, so we don't always talk about very deep things. Um, what was the funniest thing that have ever happened to you? That has ever happened to you in a chess tournament, or was there anything?
When you say funny, do you mean laugh funny or strange funny?
Both, both, whatever you pick.
I think it's harder to think of laugh funny because chess is a very serious game for you. There's no room for jokes. Um, but strange. I've had a couple of weird things happen. In July just gone, I was playing at the British Chess Championships, which I don't know if you know this, but I won. I won the rapid section, the rapid under 1450 section, at the British Chess Championships. So officially, I am a British chess champion. Just putting it out there. But there was a guy there who was playing with headphones. He had like noise defenders, like people working on roads where um, and he would arrive and he'd put his noise defenders on and playing like that's. It was just after the Hans Niemann thing. Like it's bizarre that you're allowed to sit there with headphones on, which is very very strange. And then in the same tournament, I also played a classical tournament on the weekend, and one of my opponents was this really old man who took him, I don't know, 10 minutes to walk across the room to find the table. He was like really old. He had a walking stick, and every 2 minutes he would get up and go to the toilet to take a tablet. They come back and apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, I just need to go and take a tablet. Um, and he just totally lost track of the game. So he kept forgetting to write moves, and then every 5 moves or so, he would take my sheet and copy the moves that I'd written down. Um, and on the third or fourth time, he started writing on my sheet. So he copied moves from mine to his sheet, and then he started copying them back to mine. So I said to him, "Oh, you're writing on my sheet there." And he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry." And he sat um, with his head in his hands against the board like this for 5 minutes, and um, started like breathing really weird. Thought I was gonna have to, and he made like making weird noises, like groaning and moaning and stuff. And I started thinking, don't really know what to do here. I don't know if you're dying or you're play acting or whatever. So I was just about to call the arbiter over because I was generally worried that he might, be having some sort of seizure or something.
Mm.
Um, but then he looked at me and he looked up at me and he'd been crying. Whilst his head was in his hands, he was crying, and he said, "I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry." I said, "It's fine. It's not. It's not a problem. We don't have to give the sheets in or anything. Um, let's just carry on playing." And he played like 2 more moves, and then he lost. I beat him. Um, I might say I crushed him. And then he just sort of disappeared, and I didn't see him again for the whole weekend. So I thought maybe he'd quit, which was interesting.
Wow.
I did make somebody else rage quit a tournament as well. That was fun. That was
Well,
funny, actually.
yeah, that's interesting. Yes, I remember the story you told me this one before. But it's really weird. I don't know how I would have acted there. Um,
It just didn't know what to do. Just strange
mm,
behaviour. But
yeah.
as we know, chess folk are weird, aren't we? So.
Right.
I've had a
Okay.
couple of strange moments
Yes.
as a captain as well, where um, I had two people sit down at the wrong board. So 20 minutes into the game, and I looked to my right, and it was the wrong person sat there. And I was like, "Yeah, but you sat at the wrong board." But you're 20 minutes in then, so you've got to carry on, I guess. And then the other one I had was they didn't start the clock. they just didn't start the clock. So we realised after half an hour, and then they started the clock. So and they were, by the time all the other games had finished, they still had like 40 minutes each. They're just playing on for ages and ages and ages, which is really frustrating. Like, how do you forget to start the clock? Don't understand. Don't understand.
Well, maybe it's a lack of practice and experience. I mean, it's easy if you play on many tournaments. But
Maybe, yeah.
yeah. Plus, also, if you play online, you don't have to press the clock, right? It happens automatically. So yes,
Yeah.
yeah. There was a question. Where was it? It was about what would 1300 rating mean in FIDE rating. I cannot find it. Ah, there it is. Yes, but I can't go there for some reason. Anyways, so there was this question: what does 1300 rapid in chess.com translate to in FIDE? I think it's an interesting question. I'm not sure, but I think my thoughts on this is that you need a little bit different skills when it comes to rapid or when it comes to really classical games. I'm not sure about the rapid ratings that work differently, but FIDE rating is interesting because it's not like online rating. Because online it changes immediately after you lose or win or you draw. While FIDE depends on how many FIDE games you play. It can be that you play one tournament one day and then you don't play for 3 years. It doesn't mean and let's say after your first tournament you get 1300 FIDE rating and then you don't play for 3 years but you practiced 8 hours at HS. It doesn't mean you will be 1300. So yeah, I don't like these comparisons much because on the other hand you also need, I think, different skills in classical than in rapid. Rapid is probably the closest to classical skills than blitz or bullet compared to blitz and bullet, but I think yeah, it's a bit different. You need to have more stamina. You need to have better focus.
It feels like a different game to me.
Mhm.
Same with online and over the board. It just feels like two different games. The situations are so different and different, but obviously related games. But it just, for me, over the board does feel very different to online chess.
Right, right. So it's
Even at faster time controls, rapid over the board is my favorite game. But it feels very different to classical over the board and rapid online.
yes, it's
I don't
different.
know why.
I agree with you. It feels different, and I think everyone reacts to this difference differently.
Yeah,
So for some players, it will be weird that chess is 3D instead of 2D on the internet.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I cannot really have an answer to this. There are just so many other things involved. I cannot see a real correlation between these two numbers. Like it's always 200 more than your online rating is always 200 more than your FIDE rating. Or I heard this before. 300 is the number I heard before, but I don't agree with this. I don't think I entirely agree with this. There might be some truth behind it, but I don't think it's a straight correlation, like a real correlation.
Yeah.
Yes. You mentioned your team captain stories. Yes, you are. So, chat, if you missed it, Phil is also a team captain. And I'm curious if if you play also when you are a team captain, does it affect your game when someone in your team is losing or winning or does something
I
stupid?
don't think so. I tend to, if I'm playing at the same time, and part of the reason why I wanted to captain a team was so that I could always play. Um, but I don't tend to look at other games until mine is effectively over. You obviously look around the room and walk around, but I don't sit there and looking at positions and thinking, "Oh no, three of those guys are losing. I need to win my game." I just try and focus on my game, and then start thinking about the others once mine's uh, decided ultimately.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. That's
Uh,
good. Yes.
I think I was going to say that what has been interesting as a captain is people asking me if they should accept draws and things, um, which feel a bit weird. Like, why are you asking me that? And like, oh right, I'm the captain. uh, but thankfully, the few times it's happened, the match is already over. So I've just said it's up to you. You can we've either already won or already lost, so your result doesn't matter. Um, but it is 10:30. It's a school night. I'll work tomorrow. If you wanna call it a day, then works for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is what I was about to ask, by the way. Yes. If they come to you asking if they can accept the draw, because it's also the part of your team captain duties, right?
Yeah, it is, but it's a little bit strange that obviously it's the match that matters, but also their rating is affected. So if they accept a draw, it's good. It might be good for the team, and we can win the match. But it also is going to affect your rating, their rating potentially. So I would tend probably just say we've either already won or already lost. So it's up to you. Uh, I think there was one time where we were it was a 6-board game match. We were 3-1 down, and it looked like one of the boards we're still playing was going to lose. And the guy said, "Should I take a draw?" I said, "Well, we're probably going to lose, but there is a chance that you can win. So I'd prefer it if you played on, but it's up to you."
Mm-hmm.
And he played on, and the other opponent turned his game around, and they both won. So it ended up a 3-3 match instead of what I thought was going to be a 5-1. So I was glad he ignored me and carried on.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's funny. I would always get nervous that as a team captain, I don't think I would be able to um focus on my game and then some people come to me asking, hey, can I accept the draw? And then think about that too and then tell them something because I forget about a theoretical draw or these kind of positions and then be blamed later. I
Yeah,
have too much anxiety for that, but I
yeah,
respect your you being a team captain and still playing. Yes, because ideally the team captain doesn't play, right? Ideal. I mean, in Olympics, for example. So I'm talking about that. There, the team captain is not because your decision, what you tell your
yeah,
teammates, can be affected by in what mood you are. Let's say you just blundered something and then they come to you about their game. That can also affect you, right? While
yeah,
if you are not playing and you just give and then you are there only to support, not to play, then your insights are more objective, I think, somewhat more objective.
yeah. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We
Okay.
don't. We play like one game every few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's usually on a weekday evening. So I know, like in Croatia, they play league matches at a weekend, and I think in Germany they do the same. So they'll play like 5 games over the weekend. But we just do this season we've got 8 matches in the next 6 months, so we're not playing very often.
Oh, okay.
So I want to play every game.
I see. Okay. One last question, and then we will get to the English test if Dan is
Okay.
here. How do you pick who can be in your team? What does how do you decide, or what makes you say, this guy for sure won't play, or the
I
other
think
one will?
it's so the only time I've really given that any thought properly was in the summer league that we've just had, because we needed to win the last match, or I thought we would need to win the last match in order to win the league. It turns out it didn't work that way, and we'd won before the last match, so I was able to let some of the newer people play. But if it's a game that we need to win, like a cup match, for example, then I would just pick the strongest team that we have, even if that doesn't include me. I'm not. I'm probably, I think I'm 7th or 8th in the team. So if we're picking the strongest team and it's 6 boards, then it's not me, which is fine. The problem I have though is that 2 of our players, one of them doesn't have a mobile phone or an email address. So it's actually quite hard to get hold of him. He screens all his calls. So to get hold of him to see if he's available to play is maybe is more effort than it's worth. So sometimes I'll skip him. um, but also my team for the team that I properly captain is in a league that's designed for new players, and we don't really have any. It's not taken very seriously. It wouldn't be considered super competitive. So my idea of that is I'll play 2 strong players and then me and then a new player. Try and get everybody to play a few games. Unfortunately it's only 4 boards as well. So 4 boards, 8 games. Can't really feel the strongest team every time, and a lot of the stronger players also play in the second team. We're like the third team effectively. So this time for the season coming up, it'll just be a strong player, a new player, and then whoever's available.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the new players are kids, so transport and things can be difficult because we play away as well as at home. So to answer your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for agreeing to this interview. It was
For
fun.
asking me.
Chad, do you have any questions to film? If you have, now is the time. Serious questions only. What do you think? What do you do in the team after the day's games? You go eat together and analyze games, or everyone's off doing whatever and just meet up the next day for next games?
Well, I think for the team that I captain, we play 1 game in an evening every few weeks. So people just, if you finish, then you're either welcome to stay and have a drink. It's always we're English, so it's always in a pub. So some people have a drink together and analyze the game against their opponent, or just go home. Lots of people are working or at school, etc. So as the captain, I always stay to the end. Quite often, coincidentally, I'm playing the captain of the opposition as well. So the last match we had, I was playing the captain of the opposition. So when our game was finished, we went and had a drink in the bar and a quick chat, and then went back up to watch the rest of the games.